Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, worshippers of all ages, welcome to YouTube. My name is SeaRaptor, and today we are continuing our first look at the Italian cruiser line as we bring you a glance through Tier VII cruiser Zara. Now, if memory serves, Zara is the last ship of the tree that was actually built. I'm 100% confident that the pastaboos out there are going to correct me at that if I'm wrong, but that seems to be what I remember. So let's have a look around. As always, we start with the health pool. 37,100 HP. This is good enough for second best in tier, trailing only Myoko, that big fat Japanese beast of a heavy cruiser. So this is a lot of HP for her to be tooling around with as a tier 7 heavy cruiser. It feels pretty good. Armor-wise, man, let me tell you, armor-wise, Zara fares very, very well. Yes, she has 16mm extremities, but check out this belt armor, 150mm. This is best in tier. Nothing else is even close. Right? On top of that, she has this 30mm upper belt. This is something you generally don't find on heavy cruisers in this tier bracket, right? New Orleans and Algerie lack this upper belt entirely. It's like 22mm. It's like not even there. While Yorck and Myoko only put 25mm in this same spot. For most tier 7 cruisers, this is 22mm or even less. Now, why is this significant? Well, I'm going to show you a clip of some actual gameplay. Have a check this out. Here I am on Shards fighting a Cleveland. Now, this Cleveland and I are both headed up to the sea cap, and he's been lobbing AP at me, and you can see here I'm angled away. Well, you can see also that he's slamming AP into me, and I'm really just not taking any damage worth noting. So that upper belt, like the upper belt and the Citadel armor, that feels really, really good. Zara is unquestionably the best protected Tier 7 heavy cruiser in World of Warships, right down to her best in tier torpedo protection, 19%. That's going to make her 37,000 hit points feel like it goes a lot farther. Like Trento, Zara's main battery is comprised of 8 203mm rifles in 4 double turrets. She reloads these guns every 15 seconds. Yes, that is worst in tier, but it's not completely outrageous for a mid-tier heavy cruiser. Yorck and Myoko, Yorck, for example, and I think Myoko both reload in 12 seconds. So yes, it's a little slower. But I think, again, and we've said this several times throughout several of the other videos, they're hedging their bets until they see how these SAP shells perform in the wild. Now, these are 53 caliber barrels compared to Trento's 50s, and the difference in velocity is immediately noticeable. At long range, these shells still feel a little on the floaty side, but you're going to have an easier time hitting targets at range with them. Speaking of range, main battery range there, you can see 15.8 kilometers. This is unfortunately nothing to write home about. She's a little ahead of Myoko, but way behind Yorck, Algerie, and Indianapolis in the tier, which are probably some of her other, let's say, competition in the heavy cruiser department at Tier 7. Like Trento before her, Zara's surface detection is a worst in tier 14 kilometers base, narrowly beating out Yorck and Algerie, which both clock in at 13.9. Combined with her significantly shorter range than those two ships, though, managing engagement regions is likely to be a bit of a tricky task, partly because her top speed is only 32 knots. Decidedly average for the tier, and in kind of a contrast to some of the other Italian ships, which very frequently, have best in tier speeds. But this does at least help keep her from getting into too much trouble, because with only 32 knots of speed, you're probably not going to be charging at the enemy and look up and find yourself 6 kilometers ahead of some of the other ships on your team, which can happen with ships like Georgia. So yeah, you probably won't get in too much trouble with only 32 knots to play with. Her completely ahistorical torpedo armament matches that of Trento, one triple barrel on each side of the ship, right here mounted amidships. Same torpedoes you should be familiar with by now, 12 kilometers of range, 12,500 alpha damage, and a 71-second reload. On paper, her AA suite looks fairly mediocre, and yet I had a game in Zara on the PTS where I absolutely shredded airplanes in a ship that doesn't have the defensive fire consumable. Now, this is primarily was via smart use of the new priority sector mechanics, coupled with the commander skill that they're replacing manual AA fire with. It's called Fierce Fire, that makes your priority sector selection even better than it normally would be. So I don't know that we can really say anything meaningful about her AA suite right now, because just these values, the system, the priority sector, everything is just in such a state of flux right now. Are these any good? Let's just call her AA solid and just leave it at that, right? It's not going to be best in tier. She's not a Helena or something like that, but it's probably not going to be worst in tier either. She definitely has more AA on her than, say, Abruzzi, for example. Consumables-wise, again, this is standard stuff. We've got our DCP, our 25-second duration full throttle smoke, and our choice between catapult fighter and spotting aircraft. Now, we talk a little bit, almost all of these ships have the ability to take spotting aircraft. Up until the Tier 8, I don't know that I would do it, right? To me, the shell velocities starting with Tier 8 at Amalfi in my mind, start to support the ability to really use the spotting aircraft to your advantage. Down here with Trento, Montecuccoli, and Zara, I don't know that I would do this. I really think the extra benefit is out of the catapult fighter. Anyway, guys, there you go. That is our first look at Tier 7 heavy cruiser Zara. I did get the chance to play some of this ship over the weekend. She is a tremendous amount of fun. For those of you guys that are worried about these ships, let me tell you right now, Zara is already in a really good place. I still feel like this reload speed needs a little bit of work, right? But it's not bad. It's not this, like, already this ship feels really comfortable and I've had some really good results. I'll throw a couple of result screens in here. Some of these are not significant in terms of damage, but you can see the one there with all the plane kills. So Zara, yeah, I think Zara's in a pretty good spot. I'm excited for this ship to come to life. Anyway, guys, there you go. There's our first look. I got more videos coming. We still got Amalfi, Brindisi, and Venezia to do, so hopefully you'll stay around the channel. Be safe out there. I'll catch you next time.